Have you ever stepped into someone's home and wondered, how in the world do they keep this place so clean? Maybe you've had the opposite experience. You clean one room, turn around, and somehow the clutter has already returned. You wipe the kitchen counter, and 5 minutes later there are crumbs again. You put away the mail, and another pile appears. And after a while, you start thinking, maybe I'm just too old to keep up with all of this. Well, let me tell you something I've learned over the years. A peaceful, tidy home does not come from exhausting yourself. It comes from a handful of small habits that quietly prevent the mess from becoming a mountain. I'm an older person myself, and I've reached the point in life where I don't want to spend my precious energy fighting my house. I want my home to work for me. I want to wake up and feel calm. I want to sit down with my coffee without looking around and seeing 20 things I should be doing. And if you're over 60, perhaps you feel the same way. So tonight, imagine we're sitting together during a quiet radio program. Maybe you have a cup of tea beside you. Maybe there's a lamp glowing in the corner. And we're simply talking about something that sounds ordinary, but can make a remarkable difference in daily life. How to keep your home clean without turning cleaning into a full-time job. I'm going to share 12 simple habits that can make a home feel cleaner, calmer, and easier to manage. These aren't cleaning marathons. They're little things you can weave into your ordinary day. And I have a feeling that one of the last habits may surprise you because it has very little to do with cleaning at all. Before we get comfortable, if you enjoy these quiet conversations about making life after 60 simpler, wiser, and more peaceful, I'd love for you to subscribe to After 60 Life Wisdom. And while we're talking, I'd like to hear from you. Do you enjoy keeping your home spotless? Or have you reached the age where you'd rather spend your energy enjoying life than constantly cleaning? Tell me honestly in the comments. There's no right answer here. Now, let's start with something so simple that you might laugh when I tell you. Make your bed in the morning. I know, it sounds almost too ordinary to mention. But hear me out. There is something about walking into a bedroom and seeing the bed made that immediately changes the feeling of the room. You don't need perfectly arranged furniture. You don't need decorative pillows lined up like soldiers. Just straighten the blankets, smooth things out, and give the pillows a quick fluff. That small action tells your mind, the day has begun. I remember periods in my life when I would wake up and think, I'll make the bed later. Then later became noon. Noon became evening. And suddenly I was looking at a bedroom that felt unfinished all day. Have you ever noticed how one messy thing seems to make everything else look messier? That's the strange thing about our homes. Sometimes the problem isn't really the amount of clutter. It's the feeling of disorder. A made bed can give you your first little victory before you've even finished your morning coffee. And you don't have to make it perfect. Please remember that. We are not trying to create a magazine photograph. We are trying to create a home that feels good to live in. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you start worrying about the day, straighten your bed. 2 minutes. That's all. Then walk away. Let yourself feel that little satisfaction of knowing you've already accomplished something. Now here's another habit that I think becomes especially valuable as we get older. Put things away as you go. Clutter rarely arrives all at once. It sneaks into our homes one little object at a time. You take off your shoes and leave them beside the chair. You read a book and put it on the table. You open the mail and leave it on the counter. You take out a sweater and decide you'll hang it up later. And none of those things seems important by itself. But then you look around a few days later and wonder, where did all this stuff come from? I've learned to use what I call the one-touch habit. When I pick something up, I try to put it where it belongs, instead of moving it from one temporary location to another. Think about your remote control, your glasses, your keys, your shoes, a blanket, a newspaper. How many times have you moved the same object 3 or 4 times because you didn't put it away the first time? I know I have. And that is where a clean home becomes easier. You're not constantly cleaning. You're preventing the next cleaning job. If you pick up your glasses, put them in their usual place. If you finish reading the newspaper, deal with it. If you take off your shoes, put them where they belong. It might take 30 seconds, but those 30 seconds can save you from an hour of frustration later. And there's something else I've noticed. When your surroundings are less cluttered, your mind often feels less crowded too. Have you ever walked into a room that was completely cluttered and suddenly felt tired before you had even done anything? Now compare that feeling with walking into a room where everything has a place. Which one makes you breathe a little easier? That's why these little habits matter. The third habit is just as simple. Wipe the surfaces you use every day. You don't need to wipe every shelf in the house every morning. Please don't turn this into another burden. Focus on the places that collect the most dirt. Your kitchen counter, your bathroom sink, your coffee table, your dining table. Those little areas where crumbs, fingerprints, dust, and spills appear almost magically. I like the idea of cleaning something when it is still easy to clean. A small spill takes seconds. A dried spill can become a project. A few crumbs take a quick wipe. A week of accumulated grime can require scrubbing. Why make life harder than it needs to be? Keep a simple cloth somewhere convenient. When you finish preparing breakfast, give the counter a quick wipe. After brushing your teeth, take a moment to wipe the sink. After dinner, clear the table. You're not deep cleaning. You're simply preventing tomorrow's mess from becoming today's problem. And I want to pause here for a moment and ask you something. What is the one surface in your home that seems to collect everything? Is it your kitchen counter? Your dining table? Your coffee table? Tell me in the comments. I have a feeling we'll discover that many of us have the exact same trouble spot. Now let's talk about laundry. Oh, laundry. It seems to reproduce when we aren't looking. You wash a load, fold it, put it away, and somehow there's another basket waiting for you. For years, many of us have approached laundry as one enormous weekly chore. But there is another way. Instead of letting it become a mountain, do smaller loads more regularly. You don't necessarily have to do laundry every single day. The important idea is to prevent it from becoming overwhelming. If there are only a few towels, wash the towels. If there are several shirts waiting, wash those. A small amount of laundry is easier to wash, easier to fold, and easier to put away. And there's a physical benefit too. As we get older, why would we intentionally create giant chores that require hours of standing, bending, lifting, and sorting if we can make them smaller? There is wisdom in making ordinary tasks easier. That is something I wish more people understood about aging. We don't have to prove that we can still do everything the hardest way. We can simply find a smarter way. Now, here's a habit that can change how your entire morning feels. Don't leave dirty dishes waiting for you overnight. There's something discouraging about waking up, walking into the kitchen, and seeing yesterday's dinner staring back at you. You haven't even had your coffee yet, and the first thing your brain says is, I have work to do. But imagine waking up to a clean sink. The kitchen is quiet, the counters are clear, the dishes are done. You pour your coffee and sit down. That feels different, doesn't it? So after dinner, instead of telling yourself, I'll do it later, take a few minutes to finish the job. Wash the dishes or load the dishwasher. Wipe the sink. Clear the counter. Then close the kitchen for the night. I like that phrase, close the kitchen. It means the day is finished. You've taken care of yourself, your home, and tomorrow morning's peace. And if you're listening to me right now and thinking, I already do that, wonderful. Put a number 1 in the comments. Let me know you're still with me. And if you don't do it yet, don't feel guilty. Perhaps tonight is the night you try it. Now, let's talk about something that can make a surprisingly big difference. Paper. Mail has a way of taking over a home. Bills, receipts, newspapers, advertisements, letters, menus, instructions for something you bought 10 years ago. Before you know it, there's a stack sitting on the kitchen counter, and the longer you leave it there, the more intimidating it becomes. So create one simple rule. Deal with paper when it enters your home. Not perfectly, just immediately enough. Junk mail can go where it belongs. Important bills can go into one designated place. Letters can be opened and handled. Receipts can be filed or discarded. And if you have a small basket near the entrance, even better. Give every piece of paper a temporary home instead of letting it spread across the house. You know what I've discovered? A clean home is often less about cleaning and more about making decisions. Every object asks, where do I belong? If you answer that question right away, your home stays calmer. If you postpone the answer 100 times, eventually the house becomes full of unanswered questions. And who wants that? Now let's open the windows for a moment. Fresh air is one of those things we sometimes forget because we become focused on what the home looks like. But a home isn't only about appearance. It's about how it feels when you walk through the door. Have you ever entered a house that looked perfectly clean but somehow felt stale? Maybe the air was heavy? Maybe the smell of yesterday's cooking was still lingering. Maybe the windows had been closed for too long. When conditions allow, opening a window for a little while can completely change the atmosphere. Let some fresh air move through the room. After cooking especially, it can make the space feel refreshed. In colder weather, you may only want a brief opening, and in hot or humid weather, you'll want to use your judgment and rely on safe ventilation. But whenever it makes sense, let your home breathe. And perhaps you can make it part of your morning ritual. Open the curtains, let in some light. Open a window if appropriate. Make your coffee, take a breath. There is something comforting about beginning the day that way. Now let's talk about dust. I'm not going to tell you to spend your entire Saturday dusting every object you own. Life is too short. Instead, focus on the surfaces you touch and see most often. Your coffee table, your nightstand, your television stand, your shelves, your kitchen surfaces. A microfiber cloth can make this incredibly simple. Pick a few surfaces each day and move on. You don't need to dust the entire house every time. And if you have allergies, pets, or particular health concerns, you may need a cleaning routine that suits your circumstances. But for everyday upkeep, a few minutes here and there can keep dust from becoming a much bigger job. There's another advantage. When your high-use surfaces are clean, the entire room tends to look cleaner. That's one of the secrets of a home that always appears well cared for. You don't necessarily have to clean everything. You have to take care of what people notice most. Now, here's one of my favorite habits, and it happens at night. Before you go to bed, reset the main living areas. Not for an hour, not until your back hurts. Just a short reset. Straighten the pillows, fold the blanket, put the book back, return the remote, clear the table, take the dishes to the kitchen, put the shoes away. Look around and ask yourself, what would make tomorrow morning easier? That question is much better than asking, what else can I clean? Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is making tomorrow kinder to yourself. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and walking into a living room that looks peaceful. Nothing is demanding your attention. Nothing is shouting, "Clean me!" You can sit down with your coffee and simply enjoy the morning. That is what these habits are really about. They aren't about impressing visitors. They aren't about proving that you are a perfect housekeeper. They are about creating a home that supports your peace. And if you're enjoying this conversation, take a moment to subscribe to After 60 Life Wisdom. We're here for these little lessons that can make everyday life feel lighter. Now, another trick I've learned is to keep basic cleaning supplies close to where you actually use them. Think about it. If you see a little toothpaste mark in the bathroom sink and the cleaning cloth is right there, you'll probably wipe it away. But if you have to walk downstairs, search through a closet, find a bottle, find a cloth, and come back upstairs, suddenly that tiny job feels like a major undertaking. Convenience changes behavior, so keep what you reasonably need near the place where you use it. A cloth near the kitchen, a small cleaning kit in the bathroom, a duster where you actually dust. But remember safety, especially around medications, children, and pets. Cleaning products should always be stored responsibly and according to their labels. The point is simple. Make the easy thing easier. That way, when a small mess appears, you can handle it while it's still small. And now we come to something that many people overlook, the floor. Have you ever walked barefoot through your home and suddenly felt crumbs or dust underneath your feet? It's amazing how quickly floors can change the feeling of an entire room. You don't need to vacuum every square inch every day. Focus on high traffic areas. The kitchen, the hallway, the living room, the places where you walk most often. A quick sweep after cooking can prevent crumbs from spreading throughout the house. A short pass with a vacuum can keep the most used areas looking fresh. If you have a pet, you already know how quickly fur can appear where you just cleaned. So keep the process manageable. 5 minutes of maintenance can be much easier than waiting until the floor needs a major cleaning. And if bending, lifting, or vacuuming has become physically difficult, find ways to make the task safer and easier. A lightweight tool, a smaller area at a time, or help from someone you trust can be far wiser than pushing yourself until you're exhausted. Remember, we are not trying to win a cleaning competition. We are trying to enjoy our lives. And that brings me to the final habit. This one may be the most important of all. Enjoy your clean home. Yes, actually enjoy it. I've known people who cleaned constantly, but never seemed to enjoy the space they worked so hard to maintain. They would finish cleaning one room and immediately find another problem. They would sit down for 5 minutes and suddenly feel guilty because they thought they should be doing something else. Please don't do that. What is the point of creating a peaceful home if you never allow yourself to experience the peace? After you finish your little evening reset, sit down, make yourself a cup of tea, read a few pages of a book, listen to music, look out the window, call someone you love, watch the sunset, sit in your favorite chair, let yourself appreciate the work you've done. Your home is not a museum. It is where your life happens. There may be fingerprints. There may be a little dust. There may be a blanket left on the sofa. There may be a coffee cup sitting on the table. That doesn't mean you've failed. A home should look lived in. Clean does not have to mean sterile. Organized does not have to mean perfect. And after 60, I think we become wise enough to understand that our time and energy are precious. So let me ask you something tonight. If you could change only one habit in your home, which one would you choose? Would you make the bed every morning? Would you stop allowing clutter to accumulate? Would you wipe down your kitchen every evening? Would you handle the mail immediately? Would you reset the house before bed? Or would you simply give yourself permission to sit down and enjoy the home you already have? Tell me in the comments. And don't just tell me what you think you should do. Tell me what you are actually willing to start doing. Because there's a difference. We can watch 100 videos about organizing and never change a single thing. Or we can choose one tiny habit and practice it until it becomes automatic. That's the real secret. You don't need 12 new habits tomorrow morning. Choose one. Just one. Try it for a week. Then notice how you feel. Maybe you'll discover that making the bed changes the feeling of your bedroom. Maybe putting things away immediately makes your home feel less crowded. Maybe doing a quick evening reset gives you calmer mornings. Maybe opening the windows makes your home feel alive again. Or maybe the most important lesson is that you don't need to clean as much as you thought you did. You simply need to stop allowing small problems to become big ones. And as someone who has lived long enough to understand that time moves faster than we expect, I'll tell you this. Don't spend your best years chasing perfection. Your home should serve your life, not consume it. Clean enough to feel comfortable. Organized enough to find what you need. Peaceful enough to rest. And welcoming enough that you can open the door to someone you love without apologizing for how your home looks. That, to me, is a beautiful home. Not the biggest home. Not the most expensive home. Not the home that looks perfect in a photograph. The home where you can breathe. The home where you can make coffee in the morning and feel grateful. The home where you can sit in your favorite chair at the end of the day and say, "This is mine. This is my little corner of the world." So tonight, before you go to bed, look around your home. Don't look for everything that's wrong. Look for one thing you can make a little better. Put the book away, clear the table, wash the cup, fold the blanket, or perhaps do nothing at all. Maybe tonight you simply sit down and enjoy the life you've built. And tomorrow start again. One small habit, one small improvement, one peaceful morning at a time. If this conversation gave you an idea you'd like to try, leave a comment and tell me which habit you're choosing. And if you already have a simple household habit that keeps your home peaceful, share it with us. Your little trick might be exactly what another person listening tonight has been looking for. If you enjoyed spending this time with me, please like this video, subscribe to After 60 Life Wisdom, and come back for another conversation about living a simpler, calmer, and wiser life after 60. And wherever you are tonight, I hope your home feels peaceful, your heart feels light, and you remember that you don't have to do everything. You only have to do what matters. Take good care of yourself. Take care of your home in a way that serves you. And most importantly, don't forget to sit down and enjoy the life you worked so hard to create. I'll see you in our next conversation.